Test. And this is why, everyone, I ask you for audio and video quality, first of all, because sometimes things don't work. So I saw the audio message, and then while I was fixing it, I had a knock on the door as well. So thank you for everyone for calling the shop to say, we can't hear you. Thank you, J Blue. Somehow, without even talking, I can effectively do all those things and somehow get away with it. Thank you for coffee chat, J Blue. I really appreciate this, and I can see there's no audio here. Again, hello everyone, and welcome to Grace Over Smith live stream. Sometimes without video, sometimes without audio. My name is Konstantin. We talk everything Nikon here, and normally, be a train wreck of a live stream. When things go wrong, this is a part of the character of this live stream. So thank you everyone for joining me today. I've mentioned you all. I've already talked about D500 replacement. So we've covered that all. I'm not going to do it again. So let's talk about Nikon full frame lineup. No, I'm kidding. Let's do all this. So I'm just going to put all the things here. Sometimes they're small, sometimes they're big, but you can hear me okay. So Nikon announced 2 DX lenses very recently, so that's some good news. And in terms of this, so 16 to 55, I think 16 to 50, I think it's a very important announcement for a very simple reason, because the last full frame, the last DX lens that covered the same range, which is effectively 24 to 70 2.8, was 17 to 55 2.8, and that lens was released around. Well, I started to work around D200. It was still around, so I assume it came out, I guess, either around D1, D100, or maybe just before D200 was announced. So all that was announced, and we didn't see really any full frame lenses before. The 17 to 55 lens, F-mount lens, also was highly priced higher than the 16 to 50 2.8. So I think, in my opinion, that the pricing of 16 to 50 is very good. It's £799 in UK, including 20% VAT, which is, in a way, I think it's very aggressive, because if you look at even at the other brands, the prices are much higher. All right, so can you hear me okay? I just want to quickly scroll down. Let me see. New DX lenses with metal mounts. Okay, how is the audio? We now have audio, Andy says. Fantastic. Okay, you can hear me. Brilliant. I've got 2 lenses here, somewhere here, next to me, not in the flesh, but virtually. So I want to hear your opinion about the lenses more than anything else, because overall we haven't seen any DX announcements at all. We thought that Nikon probably forgot about Nikon DX lineup and wants us all to buy full frame cameras. But then out of the blue, those 2 lenses being announced. I'm very happy that Nikon now, we don't really see any leaks as well. So I had a heads up about a couple of days before the announcement, which is good. But normally when we get heads up on announcements, that's where Nikon rumors get the heads up on their announcements. So I don't know how it is all connected, but it seems like that Nikon tighten up the leak tab. So it's no longer leaking, and we find out about those releases fairly well around the same time when Nikon wants to. It doesn't leave us much time for speculation before that, but at the same time, I think it kind of creates the momentum as well. All right, let's see what's your comment on both lenses. So we're talking about 35mm f1.7 DX lens and 16 to 50 2.8 lens. I would call it professional zoom, effectively professional mid-range zoom. Let's see some of your questions that happened before the chat. So there was a question from Colin Brahma that I'm just going to copy and paste. So he is asking this question. Does this new DX lenses mean D500 replacement is in the cards? And I want to ask you this question as a poll. Do you think, so Nikon, is Nikon D500 replacement happening? Yes and no. Let's start this poll. I want to hear your opinion on this while I'm catching up with the rest of the comments here. So thank you very much, J Blue. I really appreciate it. No sound, no sound, no sound. Okay. Let's see. That's what happens when you don't have sound. That then skews your chat as well. So G Marseille says D500 replacements and Z7 II replacement. Well, I'm not sure about Z7 II replacement for a very simple reason. It's not a full frame lenses that been announced here. What I like about this as well, both lenses have metal mounts, which is nice. I would expect it to have it to be on 16-50. I am happy that 35 1.7 as well got it. 35 1.7 obviously gives you equivalent to 50 mil, so it's kind of a standard lens. Obviously, it's also got macro facility, and that's the reason why 399. One question for you I have as well: would you just prefer to get 35 1.7 without macro and being, let's say, lower price than the macro lens, or you're happy that the 35-50 equivalent has a macro facility as well? The reason I'm asking this, obviously, we have 24mm 1.7 lens, which is equivalent to 35 mil roughly on full frame, and 35 would be equivalent to 50. So it would be nice to get those two lenses that are very inexpensive, and then maybe add 18 mil into the mix as well. So Craig C says, nice DX lenses. I'm looking at both chats here with metal mounts. Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. Okay, now I'm back to the other chat here. We're just going to close this comment over here. Let's have a look at the poll. So at the moment, we've got 50-50 really. So very even split. So some of you think that those DX lenses don't mean anything in terms of DX range lineup, so nothing's happening, especially they just random two lenses and we're going to sit without let's say a new camera for a while. And 50% of you think that well, there is a sign that Nikon may release a professional body, because obviously D50, which is a current flagship Mark II, is it's one of those cameras, but it's fairly small and light, and a lot of pros would want a slightly more robust body. Obviously we can talk about let's say size of Z6, Z7, Z5 cameras. We can also talk about Z8 size cameras, which would be a D500 replacement, because D500 was about the same size as D850 back in the day. Yeah, it's an interesting one. So I can see that we've got 50 and 50 split on that. So I'm gonna end the poll here, and the answer is we don't know, as simple as it gets here. So, all right, I'm going to try to go back to the other chat here. I've got two chats running side by side. Andy is asking a question about influencers are charging subscription, so paid subscription for their post. Everyone's trying to make $1 or £1 of the blogs. Never used to be that way. Andy, I guess everyone is trying to make a living. I don't have any opinion on that. I personally think that without being Grace or Smith, I wouldn't be able to run these live streams because at the end of the day, I don't earn my living from the YouTube that I do. So that's the thing. We had internal discussion about setting up a Patreon or memberships and things like this. That, you know, every year we have the discussion, every year we ignore it. But if people work independently and they need to make a living, I think support matters if you like what they have to say. Obviously, at the end of the day, I support quite a few Patreons as well. Not a lot, but there's 2-3 different people that I support because I value their opinion. Now, do we have to support everyone? No, it's entirely up to you. That's the thing. But if people have it as a main job or something like this, then obviously, if you like it, they can make a living by doing that. That's the thing. Otherwise, you kind of put yourself in a position where you have to become either corporate shill or effectively tell whatever company that wants to advertise go through via their bullet points without being independent. So all that you become, if you're not going to make the money from those things, it's very difficult. To be on YouTube and make money on YouTube, you have to get hundreds of thousands of views, which means if you are a small channel, it's very difficult to actually make a living out of it. So a lot of it, people who do this, it's their passion and things like, so overall, I would say I don't have an opinion on this, but there's kind of different pros and cons I can think of. At the end of the day, you don't, you vote with your wallet and you support what you like with your wallet or not. That's the thing. Okay, let's look down the chat here. No sound. Can anyone phone Grace? No sound. Okay, let's see. Here we go. So Joe Vlog says these expensive lenses do suggest commitment to DX, which is good, I think. I don't think they're expensive, to be honest with you. Well, macro lens specifically, the range I was given was between 350 and 450, and I was asked for feedback. My feedback was that it can't be 450. Anything between 350 and 400 max would be my answer, but the lower the better. And the reason for that being is, as I say, a lot of people would look at 35 as a standard lens. They may not need a macro lens, and if they would want a macro lens, there's 50 mil as well, and the price-wise is not too far from this lens. Now, the 16 to 50 lens, I think, is fairly priced because, as I say, if you look at price of 17 to 55, 10, 12 years ago, it was about, I think, £1,000 on a good day, on a sale day, and it was about £1,200 or so on a non-sale day. And if you add inflation, and we had a huge inflation in last 10 years, that lens, equivalent of that lens, would be probably around something like 16 to 1800, if you see what I mean. So price is $799, including 20% VAT in UK. I don't know what's in States, $799 or not. But I think price-wise, I think it's pretty good. Like, it's very attractively priced. If you are a DX user, that would be a good lens. I can tell you that my colleague Lila, who is a hobbyist photographer who shoots on Z50, she is actually thinking of buying one herself, because at the moment she's got 16 to 50 the DX zoom, the little pancake thingy with plastic mounts, and she says that I would appreciate to have 2.8 on my lens, and the size of the lens, which is about 24-70 f4 size, I think it's pretty good. Speaking of 24-70 lenses, I'm filming right now from the new 24-70 2.8 Mark II lens. Normally we have 24-70 Mark I on this one, so I'm testing it. Can you see any difference? I can't really, to be honest with you, but it's a YouTube compression, etc. But it does the job. It does an adequate job. I do like the build quality. I do like that it doesn't zoom, extend when you zoom in. So, okay, I thought something. I thought I had no sound again. All right, so let's look at more of your questions here. Jim Orsay says, I'm sure they're great, but DX, I'm only full frame shoots. Well, as I say, Jim, sometimes they release the products that are not designed for us, and that's fine. But, I think the more the merrier, and we just see that Nikon is making steps on expanding their DX range. Andy Miller says several new Nikon cameras were recorded on the official China site. So let's, I guess we can always speculate what's coming next from Nikon at some point soon. Do you think that they will announce a camera before the end of the year? Let me know in the comments below. Craig C says significant upgrade to the original 16 to 50 lens, and always love to see a new macro lens as well. So now we have 3 macro lenses. One is DX 35-1.7. We also have full frame 50mm and 105. Let's see 200 f4 macro native Z mount lens at some point soon as well. I think there's definitely a market for that. Darko says, I have 16 to 80 f mount lens, so this is variable aperture 2.8 to f4. And my unit is super sharp. He says this new lens should replace that, right? Yes, I think so. And also keep in mind that it's 2.8 throughout. and it's about the same size as 16-80 without zooming in and zooming out, if you see what I mean. So so I think definitely yes. I would expect it to be better than this lens. But the 16-80 2.8 f4e was a fantastic lens. Darko also says that I have Z50 Mark II and loving it. Fantastic, Darko. Would you upgrade to something like a D500 replacement? So a bigger body, hopefully, you know, with a vibration reduction on the sensor at some point, but size of Z8. Do let me know in the comments, in the chat as well. Craig C says, no, a macro lens was needed for DX, and it's a great addition. Agree with you on that one. Obviously, it did make the price higher. If it wouldn't be macro, I would expect it to be about maybe 250 size. Keep in mind that we had 400mm DX macro, 40mm DX macro for F mount, for some of our young users who don't know what f-mount is. Nikon used to make DSLRs, and they had DX and full frame range there. So we had 40 micro. So this is effectively a replacement of 40 micro f-mount lens into a Z90. So it's just a tiny bit wider as well. So I do like this. Simon says 35mm macro is a good combo. Added value with dual purpose is a good lens. Again, the question is the price right for this lens, or would you prefer it to be a little bit more expensive or less? You know, what do you think? Let me know. So Andy says you have to get really close to use 35mm macro. Well, yes. So Nikon has obviously 50 macro as well, and 50 would on a full frame body would basically you would have to do the same as 35 on DX. That's the thing. It's back in the day we had 60 micros. A lot of it was used for product photography, like watches and things like this. It was absolutely fine, and that's what effectively. Stills photography, product shoots, studio type of based work. So that's what I used a lot. Like I did some watch photography back in the day, and that's what I used it for. So I think that's what the lens is aimed at. But yes, definitely, if you're photographing a bug or something, you would have to get really close to spook it. So that's where maybe 50 is already a step up, and obviously 105 on a DX camera gives you equivalent times 1.5. So effectively, it's what 160mm focal distance. So definitely, I would go either for Tamron 90 or for Nikon 105 if you're doing insects on the DX body. That's definitely would be my answer there. Murugan says Z50 Mark II is the best camera in 2025. Override full frame. Shots fired. Good luck, Murugan. We have primarily full frame views in here. Just duck and hide. No, it's absolutely fine. I'm glad that you're enjoying the camera. I think Z50 Mark II is definitely great. As I say, my only personal gripe is I would love Nikon to release an image stabilization on a sensor. It would be absolutely amazing to have. That's kind of where my hope is, and hopefully whenever that happens, and I think if it happens, it will come into their flagship camera, which effectively would be either Z50 Mark III or a camera above it, aka Z90, aka Z500, D500 replacement, you name it. Nick says, sorry I missed your comment when I picked up my new 4070 Mark II on Tuesday. Yeah, sorry, Nick, I'm not in on Tuesdays in the shop. I'm working from home. It's my work from home day. Have used it on a couple of shoots already. Superb lighter lens. Thank you, Nick. Thank you for sharing your feedback. We finally have a demo 2470 here, so I am looking forward to testing it, and me and Becky will film a review at some point on this lens soon. There's a discussion about red codecs coming into the Nikon cameras. Okay, my comment on this, and I would love to be wrong on this one, but I feel like that Nikon red codec will be reserved to Nikon red type cameras like ZR, etc. And that's the way that Nikon wants to separate the cameras. Because if you think about it, yes, so Z6 III is a better camera, but you buy ZR for that sweet red codec, if you see what I mean. So I think, obviously, bigger screen, the advantages, but you know, if you can get red codec on Z6 III, I think as a whole package, as a good all-round, Z6 III is a better camera, if you see what I mean. So I feel like Nikon won't release the red codec into Nikon stills cameras or hybrid cameras, or maybe they will release them to their only top models. I don't know, but that's my thinking. Nikon, prove me wrong, because there's nothing better for consumer to if you can release all those cool things like Red RAW into all your cameras. I would be absolutely delighted on that, but for some reason I feel like it may not happen. Hello, Con. Hello, Michael. So Crexy, I think Z93 is likely candidate for R3D. Well, that's the thing. I don't know. I feel like they will limit it. It's not that hardware doesn't support it. I feel like Nikon just say, no, we're going to separate our video line, cinema line from our Steel's hybrid line. That's my thinking. Again, I would love to be proved wrong on this one, definitely. All right, let's see. People don't want to pay people. That's totally fine. I'm not defending anyone here. I'm just saying that I don't watch certain YouTubers. I don't follow certain people, but the people I follow, I feel if I feel what they say is important, I will throw them a couple of bucks a month. It's just as simple as that. But you decide who you want to support, or do you want to support people at all? That's the thing. Again, I'm always about you vote with your wallet more than anything else. That's the thing. And obviously, if you are supporting someone, that means that these particular individuals earned your trust and your support, because what they say is important to you and you feel like it's adding value to things. So that's my opinion about this. All right, let's look at more of your comments here in the chat. I'm just going to have a sip of a nice coffee here. And if you like this part of the video where there is sound and we actually talk, then give the stream a like as well. I would really appreciate this. Gary Mitchell said, thinking about 16-50 2.8 lens was needed to support a potential release of Z90 camera. I've been waiting a year for that. Thank you, Gary. I agree with you. I think if this particular lens sells well, we will definitely see more, releases in their range. Because at the end of the day, if the product doesn't sell, they'll say, well, why won't we just concentrate on the full frame? I absolutely agree with you. Andy is asking if anyone received Nikon ZR from anyone in Europe. Please let Andy in the comments. Let's have a look. Simon says the 40mm DX macro was about 250 when I bought it, going back a long time though. Yes, Simon. And then obviously we add the inflation into the mix. Everything is more expensive now. That's just life. That's the thing. So again, we can't compare the cost of certain items 10 years ago to cost of items now. The life changed, unfortunately. Yeah, our groceries got more expensive. We buying the same apples, we pay more, and I'm talking about fruits, not the iPhones. So $399, I would say, is, once you think about that inflation and everything, that sounds about right. And obviously, if you wait for a year, they will be on sale, or like, the quarterly Nikon sale that Nikon runs, and you will be able to save maybe 50 or 70 quid or so. All right. Pete Gazzola says MC35mm is $49.95 on Nikon website. I assume that's probably the price of a pouch or a lens hood, but if it's priced as such, then $49.95. I'll order 10 myself. $449.95. He says. Here we go. So that's a US price. UK price is $349, and we got 20% of tax included in that price. Okay, so some people agree with me, some people don't agree with me on the Cine line. That's totally fine. Dark, hello, says finally got up in time to catch the sunrise and Con Live. Nicely day in Arizona, USA. Good to see you, Dark. Thanks for joining me today. And you have a whole day ahead of you, which is amazing. Let's have a look. Dave says, I still use 17-55 2.8 quite a bit by FTZ adapter. Looking forward to seeing the optical quality on the new 16-50 lens. So 17-55, bigger, heavier, was more expensive at the time. So The new lens is smaller, lighter, and cheaper. I assume, since the 17-55 is probably about 15 to 20 years old, we can all Google when it was released. So I would expect that the new lens would be sharper based on just advancements in technology. Absolutely. And definitely having native lens, Dave, I think you'll enjoy that for sure. I like that it's not too big. That's the thing. It's the size of 24-70 f4, which is nice. So Jay Blue says, I don't see any difference between 24-70 lens on the live stream, but I have one and the image quality is beautiful and those focuses light and fast. Yeah, it's compression, to be honest with you. We're streaming in 1080p, heavily compressed stream. Thank God there's no buffering, but I'm looking at my screen here now. It looks nice. Again, I'm not sure. It's a lot for me to upgrade to a new version, but it does feel lighter, which is nice. So I guess if I would shoot a lot of content, then I would probably get this one. And if you are using gimbal when you're shooting content, it's nice because you can zoom in and zoom out and you don't need to adjust the gimbal, which is an incredible thing, to be honest with you. Okay, so Jay Blue also says, I'm hoping the development announcement for Z Mark II will be in November, December. Fingers crossed. Can't share more info on that since I don't have any. And then, yeah, Jay Blue, you've got quite a few questions on that new lens, so do definitely answer the people in the chat. Darko tells me that he would consider a Z50, Z500 type camera, but I would like even better a Z7 Mark III with all the subject tracking of the Z6 III. So I have a question for you, Darko. If Z7 III is effectively a mini Z8, what's the point? That's kind of my thinking behind it, because they're not going to have a smaller sensor on Z7, because Z7 Mark 1 and Mark 2, or Generation 1 and 2, all have 45 megapixel sensors. So we're going to get 45 megapixels. Why then, if you get all the tracking and all the, all the speed, then it's called Z8. There's no differentiation apart of the size of the body. And I know that for some people, smaller body and size, it's more important. I understand this. But there's too many similarities. So so that's why, I'm thinking that Z7 III should be kind of low and slow, effectively. So higher resolution sensor, but slower performance, aimed for landscape, let's say, studio photographers with high dynamic range, etc. But if you get another 45 megapixel camera, for me, they're too close, if you see what I mean. That's the thing. And the price-wise, they're going to be more or less the same as well. I think, I don't think it's going to be £500-600 difference, especially when if the camera is announced, it's going to stay at that price a little higher, while Z8 would be a low price at this, below recommended resale price. It just would make more sense to get a more capable body. Unless, yes, the size is the weight an issue. But I think, I don't think it's a deal breaker for majority of people. Yes, there's definitely some, but, I think majority would prefer Z8 as a better value for money, or, performance per dollar, if you see what I mean. All right. So Randy says, with the new 16-50 2.8, I wonder if the 50-50 or maybe 50-140 2.8 will be released, or 50-200. Could it be a possibility? Well, I can tell you this, looking at the Nikon's past, we didn't have anything like this. So we still had 17-55 and 70-200, and 70-200 was a full frame body. So I don't think we will see a 2.8 lens that will go from 50 to, let's say, something like 150. I could be wrong this, but if you look at the Nikon's past, at Nikon DSLR DX range lineup, it wasn't there. So I assume they think that you buy 16-50 and then you buy 70-100 if you need to use this. We also have 70-180 2.8 lenses from Nikon, and also Tamron is releasing a new version which is coming out, I think, at the end of this month or beginning of next month. We actually will be sent this lens for review next week, so I'm looking forward to receiving that. So again, the question is, if you're gonna, let's say, okay, let's get a smaller, lighter lens, which is a 4. My thinking is, well, we have 70-200 2.8, we also have 17-180 2.8, which is cheaper. So if we're going to have 70-200 on top of this, then it needs to be cheaper than the 17-180 and also smaller and lighter. I don't know if Nikon wants to overpopulate that particular niche, but personally I think, yeah, if you get something like 50-50 or something like 50-180, 50-160, f4 zoom DX Pro, that would be cool. That's just going to be one up from their kit lens. Now, one thing that I think we're all missing is 18-300 range lens for DX mount. And again, okay, you guys are all pros and you all techies, but there's quite a lot of people who want to buy all-in-one lens to take with them for their travel photographer and who are looking at this as this first serious camera because they're upgrading from their phone. And I think this is something that I want Nikon to release at some point. Tamron is releasing 18-300. I think, again, it's coming out this month. I am looking forward to testing it as well. And my colleague Lila, who shoots DX, she will have it for a few days as well. And she is also on the list of purchasing one. So I think there's definitely a demand for this because we used to sell a lot of 18-200 and 18-300 lenses back in the day for people who buy lens to cover it all. So, I think this is, if you look at the DX lineup particularly, this is a massive gap, all in one. So yes, we have 18-140, but we need a longer range. So because 18-140 is actually a very good, very sharp lens, I think a lot of people don't care about this when they buy their first lens. They just want to get the range. Because 18-200 or 18-300, especially the smaller version, because there were two versions of 18-200, big and small. The smaller version, while optically was inferior to a bigger version, sold a lot more because it was smaller and lighter, and it basically, was aimed at hobbyists and casual photographers and people who are buying their first cameras. So, and I think Nikon needs to address it. It's a mass market side of things. Again, not something that we would enjoy as photographers because we all shoot in primes or we all should have 2.8 zooms, etc. But I think the market is definitely there for the taking from Nikon, so I do want them to release that. D500 replacements with IBIS. Yeah, that's kind of what I want, because if D500 comes out without IBIS, I'm going to be sad, really. So, I want the IBIS on that thing for sure. So let's have a look at more of your comments here. Z6 III is already R3D. It's called ZR. It's a different camera, but yes. Let's see. Mark is saying, hi, Con, I use the F-mount 40mm DX equivalent of 50mm on ZFC using FTZ and use ES1 slide adapter to copy slides. Yeah, that's good. It works perfectly. Would DX35 work as its 52 full frame equivalent? The answer is I don't know, but once we get the lens, we can mount it on ES2, which we have in the store, and we can try it out for sure. I think it shouldn't be an issue, but actually it would be the same as having let's say Z5 or Z6, putting a 50mm micro on it, and then FTZ adapter. So I think it is possible. I haven't done this myself for about 3-4 years now, but I think it's possible. I'll double check on this. That's the thing. I scan my film on scanners. But yeah, it's a good question. So if people in the chat can answer this question, can you scan your use ES2 or ES1 with Z50 micro? If you can do this, then you're going to be absolutely fine with 35 on DX body. That will be the answer. Okie dokie. Let's go further. I think it's highly likely possible. Okay, let's go further. I'm just going to finish my coffee real quick, if that's okay. Jim says, only DX lens I capped was, in my opinion, the 17-55 2.8G, so underrated and amazing optically, rendering much like 24-72 2.8 GFX. I agree with you. It's the lens that I had with my D300, and then yes, I've upgraded to that at some points because once you go full frame, you need to upgrade your lenses. So my hope is, if 16-50 2.8 is as good as 17-55 but smaller, lighter, and optically superior, then it's fantastic value for money at £799. So this is incredible. Again, I keep adding, including 20% sales tax inside that price, because I know a lot of our viewers are from North America and they add tax after the price. Thank you very much, Kirill. Appreciate it. He says, throwing in a couple of bucks, I don't get why the DX35mm1.7 doesn't have vibration reduction if it's intended for cameras without IBIS. Full frame users won't buy it. I agree with you. It is an interesting one. So 16-50 has VR, and the 35mm1.7 doesn't have VR. Again, we need to get IBIS on the sensor. It's just very important. I agree with you on that one. Okay. Andy says, I'm hoping development announcement for Z9 Mark II will be in 2027, so that Nikon keeps issuing improvement firmware version for my two Z9 bodies. Well, Andy, I'm sure you bought the camera, you pre-ordered the camera the moment it was first announced, so you got them probably on day one, and I think you having a tremendous value for money for, this camera is a flagship for so many years. To be honest with you, if Nikon continues with this, I absolutely agree with you. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I really enjoying what Nikon is doing with their firmware updates, because I say Z9 has been out for a while now, but they just keep improving it and upgrading it, and it's absolutely amazing. If my bet is 2026. But we will see, I guess. As I say, a lot of people hoping for the announcement around December for the development, and then normally March, April, they do the announcement and the camera is available within, let's say, 3-4 weeks. If I have to place a bet, I personally think it's probably end of 2026, but who knows? We will see. So John is sticking with his 24-70 2.8 Z lens, fantastic. Andy says, speaking of subject tracking, would a firmware upgrade to the D850 be possible to add the subject tracking? Andy, no, I don't think so. It's a very different design. Obviously, the focusing on mirrorless cameras is done on the sensor. The focusing on DSLRs is done on autofocus chip. So when you have a camera and the lens, so this is a lens, this is the camera. So when the light goes and falls into the mirror, goes up to the prism, so you see the image, some of it goes down and falls to AF sensor, which is under the mirror. And that's where it's focusing it. So it is a hardware limitation more than anything else. We saw some cool tracking, autofocus tracking things with a D6 release, where you could just track subject on one line, on all the points on one line, or you can make them square, all sorts of things they've added to D6. The problem is the camera came out when the mirrorless cameras were out as well, and COVID was around the same time. So they kind of didn't improve on that since then. So no, I think it's a hardware limitation. Mirrorless cameras are a lot more flexible because of that. There's less mechanical parts, so they can improve a lot on software. So that's my take on that. Okay, Joe says, Nikon did downscale the top-line DX sensor from 24 megapixels to 21 megapixels. So Z7 III could have a smaller sensor. Nikon have set the precedent. Yes and no, to be honest with you. I think they had the 24 megapixel cameras. D5500, D7200 was 24 megapixel camera, and then D7500 went back to 20. I think the choice was to do with the speed and performance more than anything else. Where do you want to go from 45 megapixels to 24 megapixels? So we're looking at difference between 8,000 pixels and 6,000 pixels. Okay, we're going to get 7,000 pixels with it. How do you market it? What will Z7 Mark III do what Z6 II or doesn't do already? That's my question. So, this is where, let's say, this is why I'm asking, a lot of things. Z6 III is a very capable camera. camera. It does a lot of things what a lot of people want to do. Z8 is a very capable camera. Where Z7 III will sit in between? Very interesting question. I don't have an answer. The Z7 existed when Z8 didn't exist. Keep that in mind. So that's my only logical brain, like thinking, well, give us a higher resolution. And so it's a camera completely in a different spectrum, let's say this. Like Nikon ZI is a direct video camera, like let's say Nikon ZF is a retro camera, so like Z7 could be that higher resolution, slower camera that doesn't fall under speed reference. It doesn't need to be slow like GFX, it's still going to be faster than that. But, I just don't see, okay, we're going to make it 33 megapixels and stay instead of 45. What does it achieve? What does it do differently from Z6 III and Z8? I want to hear your opinion. Let's discuss it. It's an interesting thought. It's an interesting thought. So as I say, we all have different takes. And since the only me who can talk, who can talk, then yeah, I just share like where my where I think why would that happen. I'm sure that Nikon has internal discussion where they want a Z7 to be, but yeah, I think there's a reason why Z7 III hasn't been released for so long. That's the thing. It's just they thinking of the placements in the Nikon lineup. Where can it sit comfortably and sell units and don't overlap heavily with all other cameras. Price as well. Okay, Ian Mooson says, I decided against the original Z24 72.8 because of the 82mm filter thread. With 77, because of ND filters I already have. Now, on the new lens being 77, will be the later version. So so Ian is buying the version 2 24-70. The funny thing is that Nikon switched to 82 filter for quite some time now. So 82 became new 77, if you see what I mean, for a while. I think even 24 72.8E, if I'm not mistaken, was 82 size. So Nikon had this 82 diameter for about 3 to 5 years, on quite a few lenses. So actually it is a pleasant surprise maybe, or maybe not pleasant for someone who already bought into 82 millimeter size, for people to see, 77 millimeter being announced. So yeah, if you haven't been buying lenses frequently, you're going to be fine. If you've been upgrading your system and your accessories to fit the new filter diameter, you're not going to be happy with 77 millimeter. Well, I guess the cheapest way to do this is basically get a 77 to 82 step up ring, and then you can mount all your filters, or let's say all your mount boxes, etc. So definitely interesting take. Thanks for sharing it with us. Darko says, I get it on Z7 Mark III, but as a Z7 original owner and it being slower version 45 megapixel camera, Z7 III new camera with even Z5 II capabilities, just a wish, but I get what you're saying. Well, that's the thing. Then, the Z7 III becomes kind of Z5 Mark II with a 45 megapixel sensor. That's the thing. I don't think that's where Nikon wanted to be. And that's the thing. Again, all we're trying to do, I think all of us, we're trying to figure out where is the logical position of that camera within Nikon lineup. And as you say, then for a lot of people would say, well, but Z7, the number 7 is bigger than 6, so technically 7 should be a better camera than the Z6. You see what I mean? Then we have to educate people on things like this. So I know we all, very technical here, but we also have to think about the other world of people who are buying their first cameras and they can get the language confusing. That's the thing. But yeah, definitely. I see your take on this one. So thanks for sharing that one. Pete is asking, anyone gets out to take fall photos yet as the seasons change? Maybe the next photo review con. Interested one, haven't got out yet. I've been busy as a bee, but yeah, I think now is the time. Definitely, as soon as we get a good couple of days, I am planning to go somewhere and just photograph all those beautiful leaves everywhere. Falling off the trees. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if you're gonna run a chain change before the end of the year. I can tell you this, but we will see. We will see. We come into that busy period of time where a lot of my attention is concentrated on the kind of like Christmas sales and things like this. So I have to be involved a lot in that. Obviously, effectively, we're now in a season where November starts as pre-Christmas with a big Black Friday event, and then last 2 weeks, effectively, around 15, 16, where there's a lot of people buying their presents. And me being alone, doing it all, I don't know. We'll see. I may surprise you. I hope to surprise you. But at the moment, I don't want to add anything extra on my plate right now. But who knows? Rick says, on another subject, I see that Monster Adapter out of Japan has developed an adapter F to Z, has a built-in motor, so all the older mount lenses can work with Zs. Yes, if someone, I don't know, I'm hoping Matt Irvin would get one and just test it and see what it's like. We haven't been approached by Monster Adapter, so if they send us one, I'll be happy to test and review it. But again, it's one of the things that I would say, if you still have good amount of lenses, it's perfect adapter to get, I assume, because there's no other adapters that do the same thing. But yeah, if you switched already, then I guess it's not an adapter for you. But yeah, I'm happy that finally we're starting to see something like this. If Nikon releases something like this, that would be absolutely cherry on top on this. Okay, hello J-Rod Photo Art, good to see you. Let's have a look. Nick says the new 24-70 Mark II is at least the same image quality, if not slightly improved on the original version. Shooting to the sun has improved, plus light and faster focusing. All most welcome. Thank you. Sound is starting to cut in and out. I'm not sure. So far, I can see it's okay on my end here. I don't see any buffering, but if there is buffering, do let me know. J-Rod Photo Art says, try to be quiet. I'm taking eagle pictures. Shh, everyone. I'm gonna whisper for the rest of it. So, but he also says, might have to order DX 35mm lens. Fantastic! I want you all to share. Once you get the lens, it's the shipping date is around 30th of October. That's what we were told. Obviously, plus minus 2 days, but that's the official date in the UK. Peter Johnson says, I agree. I will buy 16-50 2.8 if it's really good. Pre-order straight away. Thanks for that. Randy says, with Tamron Z DX 18-300 coming soon, would Nikon also make one? Well, yeah, I think Randy, we've just discussed this. Yeah, it's a massive gap. I feed the feedback I get last time when I had heads up on the announcement. I fed them the same feedback. I said yes. This is the gap. Tamron is coming out of it. We think they're going to sell quite a few, but we know that people do like branded items. So if they buy Nikon, they want to have a Nikon 18-300 version of this. So definitely, I think there's a gap there. Okay. Mark says it would be interesting to see comparison quality between 16-50 kit lens and 2.8 on the higher aperture lens. Is still good for travel. Definitely, I think it's something that we can, once we get our hands on the lens, we can potentially do. I would say, of course, 16-50 pancake, it's so small and tiny. It's a plastic mount. It's cheap and cheerful. But for a lot of people, that's all they will enjoy because it just keeps things portable. But what I like about the new one is that it definitely has a reasonably small form factor. It's about 24-70 f4 size, which is nice. Albert wants 105G focus control for that mount. I think that's not going to happen, but it would be absolutely cool. Yes, I do like those type of lenses. He also wants 28 1.8 Z, 60 micro. We got 50 micro, so that's covered. Yeah, 105 we covered. 28 mil is definitely overlooked by Nikon. We definitely need a 28 prime there. A proper metal mount prime in the same line as 24 1.8 and 35 1.8 lenses. Hit that like button, says Andy. And thank you, Andy. I definitely appreciate that. It does help the channel enormously. Simon says, I don't think we'll see Z7 Mark III, but if it happened, maybe a 36 megapixel. Bigger pixels than Z8, so slower noise, but higher resolution for landscape images, perhaps. So the only sensor we have, or we used to have 36 megapixels, so but it was a long time ago. D800, D800E, D810, I think, yeah. The current sensor is 33 megapixels from Sony. This is the only one around. So unless there is something new is being developed, we're not going to see anything in that range. But definitely interesting thoughts. Thanks for sharing that. Dave says, if we were going to see Z7 Mark II, we would have seen it by now. Well, yes and no, because do you remember how long it took between D300S and D500? It took a while. So never say never. That's the thing. Never say never. We had 17 to 55 2.8, which was 15 years old. Let me Google when 17 to 55 was released. Nikon 17 to 55 2.8 release date. Let's find out. So according to Google, it was released in February 2004. So 2004, it's 2025 now, so the lens is 20 years old. We haven't seen replacement of that lens. And realistically speaking, on the kind of end of the days of DSLRs, we haven't sold many. I just remember it would be maybe 1 unit a month or something. So it was, but we now see a replacement. 16 to 50 is not variable aperture 2.8 to f4, which Nikon had 16 to 80. So we've seen a proper release in that range after, 20 years, 21 years since the release of 17 to 55. So never say never. That's my opinion. So, who knows? But as I say, I feel like Z500 will be released. I have a strong feeling about it. So again, it's gonna take some time. Kirill says, your audio is keeping going on and off every 5 seconds. I'm not sure what's happening, to be honest with you. I don't know. I've touched the wires. So I don't know if that changed anything, but hopefully it will improve the audio and hopefully it won't be cutting out. So fingers crossed. Andy says Z7 could be launched as Z7R 8.3 monster with detachable EVF. So it would be a completely different camera that would have nothing to do with the Z7 Mark I and 7 Mark II camera. So it would be a completely new camera. Interesting take as well. So yeah. I just don't know. I just don't know. I feel like that we will definitely see a camera that is more advanced than Nikon ZR. That's for sure. It's a given. It's ZR is designed to be very kind of entry level but attractive for a lot of people. I mean, look at the pricing. It kills FX3 out of the water, in my opinion. So I mean, a lot of YouTube comments and videos kind of tend to say the same thing. Obviously, I haven't tried one. I haven't tried FX3 either. But I feel like we're going to see the line of cameras in the next ZR camera in line. We will be something different. We will see a box camera. I don't know. We will see, a bigger camera. That's for sure. So we will be Z7R. Who knows? It's an interesting take. So thanks for sharing that. Okay. Let's go further. Craig C says, in my opinion, I don't see a spot for that 7.3 in the lineup. Not every Z body will continue on as technology and the market evolves. I agree, because we had Z7, we didn't have Z8 at the time. So when Z8 came out, it kind of replace that. I see what you mean. Maybe I'm wrong. Nikon has history of surprising us. I wholeheartedly agree with you on this one. So it's good take. Let's see. I don't know the audio problem, guys. I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't touched the cables. I do tend to touch mic every now and then. Forgive me for that. That's just part of that habit, and I do try to learn and improve on this. OMK says, I would find Z7 III with a 28 megapixel sensor very appealing. It's not much difference though between 24 megapixels. That's kind of where I'm coming from, if you see what I mean. So it's too close in a way. So if between 24 and 45 is only 2,000 pixels, yeah. So 24 is about 6,000 pixels wide, and Z8 is 8,000 pixels wide. So we're going to be sitting about 7,000 pixels. Is that massive difference? Not really, but I know that the megapixels is definitely sounds a lot more exciting. Okay, we fixed the audio, so that's good news. Yeah, if several people say there's audio issue, that's on my end for sure. So it can't be, you know, unless YouTube is doing something different. All the higher angle says my DX 24-70 1.7 doesn't have vibration reduction. Not surprised that DX 35mm doesn't have VI as well. Well, it would make the size of the lens a bit bigger as well. I think that's pretty much to do with this, but there is an elephant in the room saying we need the vibration reduction. So either or, so make it either on the lens or inside the body or on the sensor effectively. So the nice solution would be to have it on the body of the camera, so on the sensor effectively. That way you have it installed there, so you don't need to bother installing it in the lenses as well. Andy says, given that 3 artisans have launched perspective control lenses for Z mount, how likely Nikon to upgrade theirs? Well, never say never. That's the thing. I personally think that they will come, but remember that GFX took a while as well. Fujifilm took a while with their perspective control lenses. So I feel like they will come eventually. But we are in 5 years within the system now. So overall, I think it's going to be a good time. So I think those lenses will come from the point where, if you think about it, those lenses will be a pleasant surprise for us. So I personally think, Andy, it will happen eventually. All right. Nikon needs to produce 200 f2s bodies. Thank you, Arvin. I don't know where this is coming from. Okay, we're going to be wrapping up now. Sound is good. We started with comments about the sound, and we ended with comments about the sound. So that's just part of this live stream, unfortunately, guys. It's, as we say, the beauty of this train wreck is we all leave it at the same time. But I want to thank everyone for joining me today. It's been a blast. We will see you next week. Do let me know in the comments below what you think about the new upcoming lenses from Nikon. Are you planning to buy one? DX users especially, because you are the ones who will be using them. But in the meantime, as someone in chat suggested, it's beautiful time of the year with the beautiful autumn colors. So take your camera over the weekend and do some photography. We'll see you next week. All the best. Bye-bye.